This right here is my Gaggia Gran Deluxe. Sorry about the camera wobble. My camera is attached to the table, so every time I knock it, it wobbles a little bit. So yeah, this is my little coffee machine. It has proved to be quite good from an entry-level point of view. It's not very big, as you can see. It's not Gaggia's best thing. The vast majority of people would all advise you to get a Gaggia Classic, probably to start off with. I think this retailed at 180 quid, maybe 200 quid when we got it back in 2016. And it came with a pressurized portafilter, which has effectively meant that, like, you know, you could just make quite a decent, easy to make espresso without really putting much thought into it. And basically over time I obviously learned a bit more about coffee, learned a bit more how to make it, and I started to look into ways of improving that. So basically I replaced the portafilter with a bottomless one, learned to dial in my espresso-ish, and basically I'll do maybe another video on something like that a bit later on, you know, about how to dial in your espresso. I mean, there are many of those videos already out there. However, I have noticed there's not very many for this kind of machine, because this is a smaller machine, a smaller diameter, and everything else that you sort of see online is largely your conventional 58mm diameter portafilters, which is too big for this. So I might actually do a video a bit later on once this is working again. So right, the issue is this light here should come on when the element is heated up. Basically, this is the on button to say that the machine is on. That's the on light to say that the machine is on. When you press this button here, it should switch from heating the water, up the water for coffee production to heating the water for steam. The light is not coming on. If I turn this function here, it doesn't even seem to be anything happening at all. So there is clearly a heating issue. You can see there's some water coming out. Probably should have put down some paper before doing that. It's cold water. There is no heat to it at all, and this has been switched on probably already for 5 minutes. So the element that heats up the water is not working. I've looked on Reddit to see, and other forums to see what's going on, what could be going on, and the kind of general consensus is that it is either going to be the thermostat, which is gone, which when that is ready, the light will come on, it's linked to the light, or it's going to be the actual heating element itself, the coil that heats the water. Now, if it's the coil, then the light should work. It should still say that the thermostat is doing its job, and so by the fact that the light is not on would suggest that it is a thermostat. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to open this up and hopefully remove the thermostat. Not very good at this kind of stuff. I'm not an engineer. So this is really basically just the first time doing it, which is why I decided to record it, basically, because I thought it might be helpful for some of you guys. First things first, so underneath there is a set of screws. So there are some screws there, and also if you take the lid off at the back, there's also some screws. Where is up? In there and in there, which I had initially thought were Allen keys. They looked like Allen keys, but they are in fact star keys. So this, I don't know whether you can see that, you know, that sort of shape, the star shape. That's what you need for this, probably because it's an Italian machine. So I think that a lot of European machines, cars as well, tend to use star drives rather than Allen keys or anything else. So yeah, I'm going to have a go at opening it up now. As you can see, I'm dressed differently. That's because it's a new day. I had to order some special tools. I say special tools. I already had some star drivers, but I didn't have ones that were long enough to fit into the holes at the top. So I now have that, and hopefully I'll be able to get this off and be able to find out what the problem is. I say that, I pretty much know what the problem is. I'm pretty certain, like 90% sure, that it is the thermostat. So hopefully I'll be able to get this lid off and be able to get the thermostat out. The next bit in the video, you're probably going to see me in different clothes again because I'm going to have to order a new thermostat before I can refit it. And then hopefully we'll be able to get this thing working again. I'll be able to have some lovely espresso once again. I have to say, I have missed this machine because since it has been out of action, I've been limited to only making coffees using my stovetop and also my cafetiere, which is fine, absolutely fine, but not as good as this. So yes, so let's get crack on, see if I can get this lid off, and hopefully that will, hopefully we'll be able to be sorted out. I'm going to have to check the user guide. So I've consulted the user guide, and it seems as though these two bits here are the thermostats. This is the thermostat for the water, and this is the thermostat for the boiler. Sorry, that doesn't make any sense. This is the thermostat for like the espresso element, and this is the thermostat for the steam. Both go into the boiler. The boiler is this metal thing here. The pump is down there. So yeah, I feel like I've got a bit of a better idea about what I'm looking at now. I have no idea what I'm doing though. Basically, I've gone on the principle that this is broken, and either I potch about with it and try and fix it, which could, if it is just these two things, then I think these retail at £12 each. So it will cost me, maybe also adding up some of the tools I've bought as well, it's going to cost me about 30 quid in total to fix, compared to maybe 300 to 400 pound for a new machine. Now obviously not this machine will still be about 180 quid, but I don't want another one of these. So if I was going to be buying a new machine, I'd be looking at getting the Gaggia Classic, just because well, it's a Gaggia Classic, they're better. But I'm also better at making espressos now, which means that I have a better understanding of how these things work. So the idea is, if I break this, if it doesn't work, okay, fair enough, it would be 30, 40 quid, possibly down the drain, and I'll still have to buy a new machine, but it's still quite interesting for me to learn. So I'm gonna just try removing these. They should just slot on, so... Too big. That's too big. Oh. Okay, so I'm completely noob to this, so I don't really know whether this white stuff on top is like a a bad sign or if it's some sort of like conductive grease that is there to help. I would say that it's grease because it smells like it. Some sort of like, oh, what do they call it? Like, I don't know, I've forgotten, we use it on our bikes. Kevlar grease or something like that. Okay, so they're the two thermostats removed. So the next stage is purchasing some new ones. If it's not this, if it's not the thermostat, it could be the boiler, which looks like a slightly more involved job, I have to be honest. But I will cross that bridge when I come to it. So it looks like this beauty is the culprit. It's actually the boiler, and it looks about there. I think it's blown. So, guess I need a new one. Okay, so welcome back. Again, it's like, I don't know how many days since the last time I filmed this. Basically what happened was I established that it probably wasn't anything to do with the thermostats, reason why this was not working, but probably this dude here. So this is the top half of the boiler, and I don't know if you can see there, but there's a little bit of a bulge on this sort of horseshoe shape thing here, and I think this effectively here is a heating element. So there are two bits that clip onto this, and I think this heats up, or gets hot rather, and that heats this up, and the water goes in there and boils the water effectively. Now there are other parts to this which are currently on my draining board, because so I've had this machine since 2016, but due to various reasons it didn't actually get used until 2018, and effectively it's been used probably non-stop since 2018 up until it stopped working. And I felt that entire time it was never cleaned, as in like the outside was clean, although it doesn't look that clean here now. It's kind of more or less been in a bit of storage for the past couple of days, but it has been it hasn't been cleaned internally. Until it broke, I'd never taken this lid off, I'd never looked inside, I had no idea really what I was doing. This is really just an experiment, as I said right at the start of the video. So I thought I would take the opportunity to give it a clean. So I have descaled it. It was pretty minging. The interior of this, I mean, this is dirty in there. I've not cleaned this because this is the one that's going in the bin, but there's loads of like dried coffee grounds in there. So all of like anywhere basically where there is water and pressure present, the coffee seems to sort of find its way back in. And so the bottom half of this, there's like a spout. I'll show you in a moment anyway. And that was really dirty. I mean, I've tried my best to give it a clean. It's not 100%, but it's probably the best that it's better than it was, put it that way. And the way I thought about it is that it was, until this broke, it was working fine. I don't know whether the fact that it wasn't clean had something to do with the heater breaking, or whether it was just an age issue and the element just decided to give in. I don't know. But again, I thought that I would just put it back together now. Hopefully it'll work, and if it'll work, then awesome. And effectively I've saved myself 400 odd quid, so that I can just go back to having a working coffee machine that I'm generally satisfied with. It doesn't mean to say that I won't upgrade it at some point, but I just would like this to work for now, and it will mean I'll also have something potentially to sell. Not that it's going to fetch much money. Yeah, so I'm going to give this a go now at actually reassembling it. First things first, this right here is the boiler. Not opened it yet, so we're going to do that now. So much box just for this. Like a Russian doll. Oh, wow. So this is the new one. Just compare the two. Wow, yeah. So if you look at like the inside of that compared to that, this one is a lot more oxidized. It is aluminium. I think that basically means that obviously it doesn't rust, but it does still sort of create a skin when it gets into contact with water to stop it from rusting. But it's still, over time, that gets minging, so it needs a good clean. So it's nice to have something that is fresh. So you can see on here as well that this element is completely flat. There's no bulging in it, like this one. Again, I don't know how well you can see that. I'm filming on my phone, so I can't see, until I review the footage later, I can't see how well any of this is seen. Little bulge there. So I am hoping that that bulge is the problem. So now I'm going to go back and fit this, put this all back together. Right, so this is a bit more of a close-up view of all of the bits that are going to be going back into this. A little bit of a breakdown. So this braided wire or braided cable here is where the water from the pump, so this is the pump, you can see in there. It's quite hard to see it properly without taking it out, and I don't need to take it out because as far as I'm aware at the moment it's working fine. I don't want to have to go and pull anything out that I don't need to. It's already been quite an involved job, more of an involved job than I expected. So yeah, the water comes up from, I think this cable here is basically like, it sucks the water from down there, and then this pump puts the water into the boiler. So this connects onto, where is that? That's interesting. That's interesting. But it goes into this. There we go. Yeah, it goes in there. I am figuring this out again as I go. This is the bottom half of the boiler. As you can see, it is a little bit minging, but this has been cleaned, believe it or not. I don't think I can actually get the light on it properly. Let's have a look at it out here in this. Yeah, so it doesn't look very clean, but believe me, it is. It has been scrubbed, it has been descaled, and a lot of this is just minging old bits that look like it's not attached, as in it's not something that can break off. It's just like scale. It's just part of the metal now. So yeah. Now I just have to point out maybe some of the lighter bits that you can see that look like mold. They're not mold, they're actually dry metal because, like I said, it has been washed, and so some of it is a bit damp still, and so the darker patches are actually where the metal hasn't fully dried out. So yes, anyway, so this is the bottom half. This is where the water actually comes out. But it doesn't look like that when you look at it from the bottom of the machine, because you can see there's some gaps in there. So there's actually a rubber bung that goes in there this way around, which creates a nice seal. And then beneath that, then you have this little shower screen. This is the bit that you'll actually see from the bottom of the machine. As you can see there, it looks kind of corroded. Looks like it's broken off, which is interesting because it's aluminium, so I don't really know what's caused this. Now, if this works, now that I've bought all this new stuff, then I might replace that. But if it doesn't work, then there's no point me buying it again. This is the milk steam wand, so that needs to go back on top. That attaches onto the top of this. You see there's a nice shaped divot there, so it goes on top of that. And there's a gasket, I guess you call that a gasket, which goes in there. And then that sits on top of it there. So I'm going to get to it and start reassembling this, and like I said, hopefully it will work. So welcome back. As you can see, I'm drinking a coffee. So I have actually been using this machine for quite some time, and it is still working fine, which is good. Which just goes to show that it's actually quite an easy machine to maintain, to be able to source the parts yourself, and I can pop links in the description to where I got the parts from, because there is a proper dedicated Gaggia store. Where a third-party store where you can get stuff from a guy in the UK who does all sorts of Gaggia stuff. So even the low-end things like mine. So as I mentioned in the previous video, it was in fact the heating element that had blown, and so it was the top half of the boiler that needed to be replaced. So that is integrated. The heating element is integrated to the top of the boiler, so you can't just sort of replace the heating element or the coil or whatever it is. I think I mentioned previously. It is the horseshoe shape bit of metal that is attached, is integrated to the top half of the boiler. You can just buy the whole thing together. It wasn't expensive, and then replace that. With this model of Gaggia is commonly speaking, the thermostats, not the thermostat, yeah, the thermostats or the heating elements go, and I think it's because they are well and truly like domestic appliances, and so they are not designed for heavy use, for regular or long-term use even. So, you know, if you are an avid coffee drinker who might make more than one coffee a day, sometimes even in a row, you know, it probably won't last that long. That being said, I would advise people to, if they're just starting out, to get something like that, because it will produce as a semi-decent coffee for a beginner, for entry-level purposes. I know sometimes people just go, no, just invest in good coffee machine from the get-go, but I would say that the best investment is a good grinder and to buy beans, because if you have a good grinder and you're buying fresh beans, and you don't have a machine, but you say have a stovetop moka pot or cafetiere or a piece or V60, you will get good coffee from those things. And likewise, you will get a fairly decent coffee from an entry-level budget machine. I have been satisfied with this machine for, you know, a good 10 years or so now. Incidentally, I have actually managed to get hold of a Gaggia Classic. It isn't currently working. A friend of mine has one, and I asked him if he's interested in selling it, and he said I could have it if I could get it to work. Enough blabbering, more coffee drinking. Thank you for watching.